So good afternoon. My name's Naomi Altergott. I am with World Financial Group, the Altergott Strategic Focus Team. Thank you for joining us for the 6 steps to financial independence, um, or also a financial literacy workshop. We do these presentations on a regular basis. I've taken our basic principles and put them into 6 different categories. We normally do 4 different presentations. So I have taken information and we've condensed it into 6 steps to make it easy for you. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Um, our first step is cash flow. So the pandemic hit, and many people had issues with cash flow. They were not earning income, they were laid off, their income was reduced, and it created quite a financial burden on many, many people. And so, one of the steps that you can do is manage your expenses, find additional money. So the finding the additional money is not always an easy process. And so we're going to talk about some steps you can take to manage your expenses. The challenge for everyone is to track all your expenses and where you're spending your money for the next 4 weeks. And so we're going to talk through some of that so that you have a clearer picture of what you should be tracking and areas you can look at. And then we're going to talk about how you can reduce some of your expenses. So we're going to learn where your money's going. And a lot of people don't even realize where they're spending money each day. So if you um, get a blotter or get a folder that you can write down every time you are spending money anywhere. So if you're a person that goes to Starbucks in the morning or you buy a soda, and you feel like you need to do that every day, maybe you can look at doing that twice a week instead of every day. And so those are kind of the things we're going to look at. But it's really important for 4 weeks to write down every area that you spend money. If you're stopping to buy gas, write down that expense and write down what the amount was. You might even want to put where you bought the gas from, because one of the steps is we're going to teach you to really look at the expense that where you're spending that money. Um, so there are 2 ways to increase your cash flow. One is to earn more money, and one is to spend less. And so we're going to focus right now on the spend less, and then we'll talk about where you can where you can actually make more money. And you want to ask yourself daily, did I spend my money wisely today? Um, And that's always a good question because sometimes we just randomly go and start spending money and don't even realize where it's going. Um, so, one of the areas, and I'm going to go through a list here. Um, so, one of the areas that you can look at is reducing your cable or satellite bill. Um, Consider looking at your deductibles on your auto insurance. Can you save money on your auto insurance by increasing deductibles? Reduce the number of sodas or coffee, or if you're stopping every day and buying something, can you reduce that expense by cutting it back to a few days a week? Look at your cell phone bills. Are you paying for insurance on your cell phone that you don't really need? Do you have extra data that you're paying for that you're not using on a regular basis? So, is that an area that you can cut back expenses on? If you have an extra cell phone or an extra line, if you have a home phone and you have a cell phone, maybe you can look at just having your cell phone and not having the expense of having a landline. Do you eat out regularly? And if you do eat out regularly, can you maybe go early for dinner and just do the happy hour, smaller items? and save money on food. A lot of those items on happy hour are the same that are on the menu. They're just a smaller portion, but it will save you money. Take your lunch to work. So you can take your lunch with you and save money by taking your lunch instead of going out. Do you have a gym membership that you haven't been able to use? Maybe you can save money by purchasing a few different exercise equipment, videos, anything that you can use at home, and cancel that gym membership, and you can save yourself over time money in that area. Do you get the newspaper or magazine subscriptions? I love to cook, and so I love to get magazines that have recipes and different cooking items in it. And so um, I have recently gone back, and you can find a lot of that information on the internet, and you don't need to spend the money on magazines or other subscriptions. Um, Utilities in California are ever increasing, and so that's an area that you might want to look at. Also, is um, can you open windows and keep your house cooler, or can you do things to keep your house warmer in the wintertime? And so, look at ways that you can adjust your utility bills. Use coupons at the grocery store. Um, so yes, it would require, maybe getting on the internet and looking for different areas, or a lot of times the grocery stores actually issue them on the back of your receipt, and you can use it the next time when you go into the store. So that's another area that you can cut back on expenses. Play free video games. I'm not a video player, but I know a lot of people who spend a lot of money for their kids by downloading apps and various things. There's lots of free videos available, and so try to find free videos so that you can cut back. Um, Avoid ATM fees. So when you go and take money out of the bank and it's not your bank, you're going to be charged a fee. So if some of you have I go to the casino and I take cash out, you're going to be charged fees. If you're going to go somewhere and you need cash, go to your bank and pull the money out so you're not paying additional fees. Gas is another concern in California, and it's recently been going up pretty rapidly. And so, find kind of shop and find places where the gas is lower than where you have been purchasing it for your car. Um, Cut down on just random spending. You see something you love, you want that shirt, you want those jeans, you want those shoes. Just think about it and ask yourself, am I spending my money wisely? Is this the right place to spend my money today? And cut back will get you to the point where you'll be able to go and buy things and feel more comfortable about it. But during this process of the 4 weeks, let's really, really watch where you're spending money. Spend less money on gifts. And so, summer for me is a huge time. All of my family has birthdays in summer. And so I just try to be wise about what I purchase and send to them, and explain to them that, I'm going through a process of trying to save some money and pay off debt. And so, um, they're usually pretty accepting of that because they're going through similar processes themselves. So imagine if you could save $6.60 a day. If you could save just $6.60 a day, in 10 years, you would have saved $42,074. And so think about that as you go through this process. There's lots of other areas that I am happy to share with you that you can cut back on expenses. But we're going to go ahead and move on. And once you're done with your 4 weeks and you've accumulated all of those expenses, review your expenses and where you spent the money over the last 4 weeks. Are there items that you don't need to spend the money on? Are there items that you might be able to reduce your expenses on it? So think about those after you've done your 4 weeks and just evaluate and think about that. And I'm sure you will find ways to save just $6.60 and you can accumulate the $42,000 in a 10-year period. Step number 2, strive to eliminate your debt and consolidate debt. By working on step 1, you can find areas to reduce your expenditures and take the extra money to reduce your existing debt. You can pay off one debt at a time by using the extra cash you've created from step 1. So, what we recommend is that you take and list all of your debts. Put down who the company is, what the amount is, what the interest rate is, and what your payments are. And then what we recommend is to take your extra money and start paying more down on the one debt at a time. We call it debt roll up. And so debt roll up is just a matter of taking the extra money that you have and starting to put more down on one credit card. Don't spread it out over all of them because it defeats your purpose. Start paying one down at a time. Once you get one paid off, then you can take all of that extra money and attack the next one. But start by paying off the credit card or the debt with the highest interest rate. Um, a lot of people don't even realize what their interest rates are on their credit card or their car loan or their house. And so look at those things, and it's a good procedure to just sit down and write out all of your debt. What is your house payment or your rent? Is there areas that you can reduce that? Can you talk with your landlord if you're a renter and see if there's something you can do? Can you do some of the yard work to reduce the rent and save some money there? Do you have a home loan? If you do, interest rates are very low right now, and now's a good time to go back and see if you can renegotiate or refinance your house payment and pay off your house quicker. Um, Car loans, and look at your car loans. Can you refinance that, or can you consolidate that into a different debt and pay that off earlier? But again, we want to focus on the debt, which is usually credit card, that has the highest interest rate on it, and take one at a time and pay that off. Step 3 is save at least 3 to 6 months of income and prepare for unexpected expenses. So we never know if, somebody rear ends us or hits our car or something happens at our house that has to be repaired, and you just aren't able to do that. We want to get you in a place where you can have 3 to 6 months of income that you can pay for those expenditures. If you're unable to work, and we'll talk later about areas that you can put some money that will protect you if you're unable to work. But we want to get you to a place where you can save 3 to 6 months of income so that you have it, and we call it an emergency fund. Once you can look behind your debt, you can begin to build that emergency fund for those unexpected expenses. And we always say life happens at the most unopportune time. You think that things are going well and everything's great, and then a pandemic hits, or you get laid off, or your car breaks down. And so we want to prepare you for those unexpected expenses. Step number 4 is proper protection. Um, we want to protect you against the loss of your income, protect you for your family's assets. Just as loss can be costly, so can waiting. Perhaps it takes longer than expected to pay off your debt. Debt and other circumstances, such as the rising cost of living, which we all know is happening um, every day, can hold you back from saving for the future. Proper protection for yourself and your family is an important step. Losses can magnify because you're not only have to recoup what you've lost, but catch up with the progress that you were making. And so, proper protection is a huge step in this process. And there are areas that you can start to spend money once you've saved, paid off some debt. Um, if something were to happen to you and you weren't able to work, do you have short term disability? Lots of people think they have that coverage through their work, and oftentimes they don't. If you're not injured on the job, if something happens to you on the weekend. I just recently had a client who was out on his three-wheeler and flipped it over and broke his arm in three places. He has a pretty nice job, and he thought that his short-term disability from his job would kick in. But his injury did not occur while he was at work, so he didn't have coverage. And so while he was out of work for about 4 weeks, he did not have any income coming in. So by the time he applied for unemployment, he was able to go back to work. And so it's an area that you want to look at. Sometimes we don't know long term wise, do you have long term disability or do you have long term care? And so we are learning more and more that long term care is not just for older people, it can be used for younger people. And if you have that in place, it is certainly more affordable for you if you start long term care when you are younger than waiting till when you're older. You can always utilize that if something were to happen on a long term basis so you can get back to work, and then you're able to turn that off. And when you need to utilize it again, you can utilize your long term care. So, those are some areas for um, protecting income and protecting your family assets. You know, life insurance, and there's various types of life insurance. And when we least expect it, you know, we have family members that pass. What if you pass? Is your family prepared for your funeral expenses and for taking care of debt? And so those are areas that you want to look at, but we want to get through step 1 through 3 so that you know you can feel comfortable um, accessing those type of products to help protect your family. So we're going to move on to step number 5. Step number 5 is to build wealth. Strive to outpace inflation and reduce taxes. As you reduce your consumer debt and increase your disposable income, your full focus should be on building wealth for the future. Estate planning, long term care should also be considered. No matter where you are in life or in building your financial strategy, the key is to begin by saving now. Pay yourself first. And so that's part of the emergency fund process. But you also want to think about where are you going to get income from if if and when you stop working. And so if you're not able to work, um, where will you get your income from? If you're ready to retire, Social Security is an area that even if it's there when you're ready for it, it may not be there for you. Right now, most people can't even afford to live on what their Social Security benefits look like. So, one of the things you can do is you can contact Social Security. They used to send out statements like once a year. They are no longer doing that, but you can contact them and set up an account, and you can watch and see how your Social Security grows. But that's just going to be one form of protecting you in the future. Does your company offer a pension plan? Pension plans are an area that a lot of companies have eliminated. They can't afford it, it's become very costly for them. And so, pension plans are not something that's readily available anymore. And so, where are you going to get the extra income from to be able to retire and enjoy life? Um, does your company offer a 401k? If you're a teacher, does your company offer a 403b? The government agencies have what's called a 457 plan. Most of those plans do have some ability where the employer is contributing money at the same pace you are, or a percentage of what you're putting in. It's a great way to put money away, because the money will go in before taxes are paid, and you won't have to pay taxes on that until you withdraw the money. You don't want to withdraw those type of accounts, that money, until you get to retirement age, or you'll pay a penalty for it. And so think about, if you have a 401k and you leave that employer to go to another employer, will your other employer allow you to roll that money over without you touching it, so that you're not paying taxes? If not, there's other products available where you can do that. You don't want to pay additional taxes and penalties on those accounts. And so think about what you're doing with that before you access those funds. They're great ways to grow for retirement, especially if your employer is contributing to the fund. If your employer is not contributing to the fund, there's lots of other products available. There's um, Roth IRAs, there's IRAs. So there's lots of different areas you can start putting money away that will help you to reduce taxes. So think about where you're spending, or where you're putting your money for retirement, and plan for the future. It's very important to start early. Start early to put some money away. And again, I go back to reduce debt first, because if you have high interest rate credit cards, or you have um, other accounts that have high interest rates, you want to start there by reducing your fees. Step number 6 is to preserve wealth. So, where are areas that you can preserve wealth? You can do it by reducing taxes. Again, there's products available where you can utilize them for a savings account, and you're not going to pay taxes on them. Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs are places that you can do that. Again, your 401ks, your 403bs, lots of products available. Talk to your employer if you're not aware, and see if it's something that they offer. Most HR companies will have a conversation with the employees and let them know what's available to them. But it doesn't hurt to ask and make sure that you're not missing out on that. 401ks are, if your company is contributing, it is free money for you. So you should definitely look into that and saving money in that area. After years of careful planning and commitment to your goals, you'll continue to discover that the financial independence still requires work in the form of estate planning and deciding how to enjoy each day of your retirement. Do you have children? If you have children and they are young, what is your plan if something were to happen to you, or happen to your spouse if you have a spouse? Who's going to take care of those children? So, proper estate planning is very, very important. Where your children go, who's going to care for them? If you've put money away, how is that money going to be dispersed? And you want to make sure that your children are protected. Do you need to build an education fund for them? There's lots of different products available where you can start an education fund for your children. And then there's money, a little bit a month can go a long way for them for a college fund. Also, helping your kids plan for the future and get some coaching and um, some area set up where they know what they want to do, and they know where they want to go to school. They can start in their junior year of high school asking for scholarships and grants, and writing them properly is super important to being able to get rewarded those scholarships and grants. So you want to think about that and helping your children through that process. But more importantly, if something were to happen to you, is your family protected? And do you know who's going to be caring for your children? And you can put that into a trust or a will and designate how you want those funds dispersed and who you want them dispersed to, and make sure your children are covered. Estate planning will also help you avoid probate cost and managing estate taxes. Ensure your legacy reaches the intended heirs. And we were just talking about that. So you can do that by establishing a will or a trust. Um, there's lots of trust attorneys, estate planners that can help you with those areas. Um, Establish medical and financial power of attorneys so that your finances and medical needs are taken care of should you become unable to do it yourself. Do you have health insurance? Um, Health insurance is very important because if something happens and you become ill or you're on medication on a regular basis, if you don't have coverage for that, it can be very costly to you, and you can end up owing a lot of money to doctors or hospitals, and they will file a claim against, some of them will file a claim against your income. Some of them um, will put you into some type of replacement where you're going to have a claim on your credit, and you won't be able to do a whole lot until that is paid off. And so you want to make sure you have the proper insurance available to you. If you don't have health insurance through your employer, um, think about going to the government and asking for, or go to a insurance professional and they can help you find the right insurance. You can go to the Affordable Care Act and it can often help you keep that fee reduced each month. So, what steps are you in now? Where are you at in your life? We believe that everyone is different and has different needs. One size does not fit all. Our income, our debt, the size of our family, our age can all play a part in what you are what you're trying to accomplish. And so where are you? What's good for me may not be good for you. And so starting with these simple steps can help you plan for your future, and when you're ready to retire you can be in a very comfortable place. The key is to start today, and the basic concepts of the 6 steps. Your financial future depends on how you address your individual circumstances. There is only one way to prepare, and that's what's right for you. And these are the common elements that can help you with those 6 steps. So let's just review what we've discussed. Now is the time. Establish a budget. If you don't have a budget, like I said, start with the simple: where am I spending my money? Do you have auto deducts that is coming out of your checking account? Make sure you plan for those. You don't ever want to get in a situation where you have an auto deduct for a bill and you don't have the money in there. Um, Banking costs can be very expensive if you're bouncing checks or not being able to meet the needs of those auto deductibles. Stick to your budget. So really try to discipline yourself and go through that first step of 4 weeks. Really track your money and know where you're spending the money. Um, are you spending money wisely? Are you making the proper decisions on where your money's going? Manage your expenses and increase your cash flow. You can do that by just reviewing some of your debt that you have now. Is there areas that you can change that? Can you stop spending money in certain areas? Can you renegotiate your cell phone bill? Can you consolidate debt to a lower interest rate that you have? Debt roll up is an amazing process, and you will be surprised by just eliminating a couple of things how quickly you can start to save money. Eliminate debt and build for an emergency fund. Like I said before, life happens, and when we least expect it, something comes up that we are not planning for. So injuries, you know, out of the workplace, can you continue to work and make money? You want to look at proper protection. Do you have the right health care plan? Do you have disability? Do you have long-term care? Do you have life insurance if something happens to you and your family will take on all of the debt for the family? Do you have them protected so that it does not put a financial burden on them? And then, discuss and talk about building the preservation of wealth. And so, by walking through these six steps, you can save money and you can start putting just a little bit away. And we talked about earlier, $6.60 in 10 years can save you, if you put it away, $42,000. So, are you willing to do that? Are you prepared to do that? And can you discipline yourself to go through those 6 steps? I don't think we are set up to take questions. However, this content is being recorded and will be on the YouTube channel for you to revisit. My contact information is here. So I am Naomi Altergott with World Financial Group, the Altergott Strategic Focus Team. Here are my phone numbers. That's my office number. That is my cell phone number. Or feel free to email me. I am happy to help you understand how your money works for you or is not working for you, and help you live a happier, healthier, wealthier lifestyle. Thank you again for joining us, and I look forward to talking to you in the future.